Hey guys, how's it going? As you can see, we got some cool new parts here. Today is going to be a cool day. I'm going to be installing and unboxing a Razorback Offroad Expedition Rack for my Razor XP Turbo. Razorback Offroad is based out of the States, and they make a whole ton of wicked storage racks and expedition racks for all sorts of side-by-side vehicles. Everything's made in the USA, top-notch quality. And I'm really looking forward to installing this rack, checking it out. I've been looking for a cargo solution for quite some time, and this seems like the best one available right now. Aside from maybe getting a full custom cage and a custom rack setup, this setup will bolt on to your OEM, Polaris RZR, or your General, or whatever machine you choose to bolt it onto. They offer a lot of options, so let's check it out. Let's see what's in there. Canada was nice enough to team up with me for this part of the project because they are the distributor for Razorback Offroad in Canada. So they carry their full line of products, and they hooked me up with this rack and also a bunch of other goodies. So let's dig in there, let's unbox this, and let's take a look at what's hiding in there. So aside from the rack, UTV Canada sent me a few other goodies. I think they sent me like a Rotopack gas can for the rack. And they also sent me some side view mirrors, some harnesses, stuff like that. And we'll slap all that stuff onto the RZR, and we'll see how it all looks. As you can see, my cage, my EXO cage, and my roll cage right now is silver. Well, mostly silver. Silver and scratches. It's like silver and black camo with an undertone of rust in certain areas and tree/trail debris. Anyways, with that being said, the Razorback Offroad rack comes in black. I believe that's the only color they offer, but you can get it powder coated or painted any color you want. So I'm gonna unbox, I'm gonna show you guys the rack, and then I'm actually gonna change it. I'm gonna color match it to the rest of my cage. I'm gonna paint it silver. So I'm gonna sand it down nicely and just spray bomb it like I did my cage. Is it perfect? No, but it works. This ain't no trailer queen. It looks good. Even powder coat eventually scratches and chips and stuff like that. I'm not building a show machine, I'm building a vehicle that functions, and it looks damn good when it's on the trail. And the truth is, it's rarely this clean. It's only ever this clean when I'm working on it. Otherwise, it's usually pretty dirty, or I just hose it off and get the crud off it. I don't really detail it all too often. I'm not that kind of a side-by-side owner. Off-road vehicles are exactly what they are, off-road vehicles to me. I think they look damn good with the dings, the scratches, and all the character marks from being used. So let's dig into this and see what's in that box. Oh, sweet. You know when you open something and the second you lay your eyes on it, you just know like you're dealing with some solid quality here. This rack looks awesome already. Wow, this looks sweet. I can see the top rack there. It's packaged really nicely. This is badass. I'm so pumped. Looks like here we've got the top rack section, the top shelf of the storage rack. It's all assembled actually, which is really cool. Nice aluminum plate on the bottom there, a crinkle coat powder coating finish here. Yeah, it looks really nice. So we'll set that guy aside. So this is their top end expedition rack. It also comes with the spare tire holder, the swing away tire holder, which lets you also get full access to your bed even when the tire holder's on there. Or the tire carrier, if you want to call it. This looks like it's the swing away portion of the tire carrier. Also really nice finish. The welds look pretty nice. Like I said earlier, the packaging is really nice. Nothing's getting scratched in here. Looks like here we've got one of the sides, and on the sides there's optional attachments. There's these brackets welded into the sides here, and what that allows for is you can carry stuff like an extra fuel. There's mounting kits for like roto packs for gas cans, if you're going on a longer trip, or like water cans, whatever you want to put on there. Here we have the other side. I'm quite impressed actually, because I was expecting a lot more parts. It looks like there's just 4 main pieces to the rack here. Here's like some sort of a cross beam or something. We'll figure out what that's for. So I'll just get everything unwrapped and unpacked, and we'll lay it out, and then we'll take a better look at it and see what we got here, and see how the install goes. It's looking, just from looking at it right now, it seems like the installation is going to be really easy. Obviously, to keep in mind, like, this mounts to what's supposed to be a stock cage setup. It doesn't necessarily work with all rear bumper setups and stuff like that. They weren't sure if this spare tire carrier and everything's gonna work with my Super ATV rear bumper. So we're gonna put it on there and we're gonna try. But they sell the rack without the spare tire carrier part, and that pretty much fits on any setup. But because of the way the spare tire carrier swing away mounts, they said that certain bumpers may impede with its function. So we'll see if that's my case. I know the Super ATV bumper setup is really popular, so it'd be really cool if it did work. Looks like here we've got the rest of the hardware. Looks like they give you everything you need to get a bonfire going too, so you can have a nice cold beer when you're done. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Oh yeah. Okay, here we've got the roto pack for the Expedition rack. 1.75 gallons or 6.6 liters. These things are awesome, they're strong, they're safe. They're probably the best jerry cans you can get if you want something heavy duty for an off-road application. And you can stack them. They're stackable, so you can mount multiple cans together. They're really cool. Aside from like just a standard red, they make like a food grade one that's safe for like drinking water, stuff like that. I'm sure you can get other colors too for like diesel or whatever you want. Here is the RotoPack adapter mount for the Razorback Offroad Expedition rack. We'll unpack that in a minute. And here is the spare tire holder for the rack as well. So we'll dig into that in a minute too. It's actually pretty cool. Razorback Offroad utilizes like their standard, a standard kind of universal design for all their accessories. So any bracket that you get from them will fit onto any one of their universal accessory mounting locations. So let's check out that spare tire rack bracket. We got mounting hardware as well as some lug nuts in there by the looks of it. Nice black crinkle coat like the rack itself. There it is. Pretty simple, 2 pieces, should be a snap to put on. Mounting hardware. Obviously, you need stickers. Nice and easy, mostly assembled. Adapter for the rack and the mount. Stickers. I don't really need to show you guys the RotoPack. I'm sure you've all seen these before. Good stuff. Okay, now let's get all these parts together, organized. We'll lay them all out and we'll see how they look on the machine because, hey, that's why we got them. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and even TikTok now. Yes, I am on TikTok now. I broke down, I did it. I don't know how active I'll be on there, but hey, I'm there. You know, gotta keep up with the Joneses. If you're interested in the products you're seeing in this video, then check out our supporters. UTV Canada and Razorback Offroad have sponsored this video. They supplied the products for this installation, and they were nice enough to reach out and want to work with the channel. Also, make sure you check out all the other channel supporters because they really do make a big difference, and they help me make these videos possible. I wouldn't be able to do everything I do without the support of the viewers and the channel sponsors. So thanks guys, and make sure you head on over there and check out all the goodies for your machine. All right, so I've sanded everything down and we're ready for the color change. Time to go silver. So I'm gonna wipe all this sanding residue off here, and then we are going to paint this silver with a few coats of silver paint. All right, so got all the pieces painted silver now to match the rest of the Razor's cage. Took everything apart as much as I could. Looking good. Oh yeah. Looks really good. So that's gonna look great on the machine now. It's gonna match the cage and the exoskeleton a lot better now than being black, so that should pop really nicely. So I'm just gonna reassemble the pieces I took apart. I took a few pieces off just so I don't get overspray on them, and then we'll get to installing this stuff. So we got all our brackets laid out here, our hardware. The installation manual is all online PDF. So I got it pulled up on the tablet there. All nice hardware. Time to get this baby installed. It looks like it's gonna be a pretty straightforward install. All right, so we're gonna install the mounting brackets here for the rack. There's basically 3 main mounting brackets. I've already put the other side off and then it took a couple minutes. It's really easy. We're gonna start off with the top bracket. It's gonna go up here. And if you'll notice, I've got a light bar and like a camera mount and stuff like that here, as well as some wiring running through here. So I'm gonna have to change that up because the rack's gonna get in the way. So we need to utilize these holes where I had some wiring running for these sleeves for the mounting brackets. So I've got to relocate some of this stuff here and remove that light bar really quickly. But I think besides that, that's the only real modifications I need to make. I'm gonna quickly pull that off and then we'll get all the brackets on and we'll slap the sides on and then the rack. All right, so the next step is we've got the light bar off. We're gonna mount the bracket. I'm gonna start off with the top bracket. It's really easy. You need 2 of the 70 mil bolts, 2 nylock washers, and the sleeves. Here's the bracket. Everything is really well explained in the instruction manual as well. So we're gonna get our sleeve. We're gonna put it in here. We're gonna take our bracket. It goes on like this. And then we'll just sink the bolts through. I've got the Polaris OEM plastic roof. You gotta kind of move it out of the way. If you've got a metal roof or an aftermarket roof or something that's different than this, I don't know, maybe you'll need to unbolt the roof a little bit to get these on. In my application, I've managed to just push it. Now that that's in, don't tighten any of these. Make sure you leave them all loose. We'll tighten them all up at the end, like with any install, whether it's a bumper or rack like this. There's gonna be some movement. If you've rolled your machine in the past, like I have, maybe your cage is a little tweaked. So remember, these have a little bit of play in them. They're slotted. They thought about that. No 2 machines are gonna be identical. So just leave them loose and then you can fine tune it all and line it all up once the whole unit is assembled. We'll take our nylock nuts here and we'll just finger tighten them on. There we go, that's good enough for here. We'll move on to our next bracket on the side here. We're just gonna remove these 2 15 mil bolts. There's nuts on the other side of them. And then we're gonna mount the bracket here and utilize the 60 mil hardware they send with it. Here are the 60 mil bolts with the nuts and the side bracket. You can go ahead and remove both of these. We won't be reusing this hardware. Razorback Offroad sends you some nice high quality hardware, some extended length hardware for all this stuff. Put on your new bracket. There you go. And then start the nylocks finger tight. For this application, we're gonna completely remove the lower bolt and we're gonna just loosen the top bolt. You are reusing this hardware. There's nuts in the back here, but the cage holds them from rotating, so you just gotta put your finger back there to make sure the nut doesn't pop out and spin. Bottom one all the way out. We're gonna take our 3rd bracket and we just loosened the top bolt. I have to loosen it a bit more here because this is a slotted hole on this one here. Slide that in and then get our bottom in. And these are gonna mount to the sides. Once again, just keep these guys loose for now. Okay, so we got all 3 of our brackets on each side, total of 6. The next step is to put the sides on, and they recommend mounting the sides to these brackets first, so that's what we're gonna do. You're gonna grab 2 1-inch hex nuts with nylocks, and we're gonna mount this side to the center here first. Okay, those guys are on. And now we can mount the top and bottom. Now we're gonna grab 4 of the 3/4 inch hex nuts, or hex bolts and nuts, the nylocks, and we're gonna mount the top and the bottom brackets here. I'll start off with the tops. They seem to be the easier ones right now. And get a nylock on the back there just to hold it in place. We can mount the side bracket here, same way. There we go, there's one. And the nylock. Also finger tight. Remember, everything's finger tight for now. Actually, it's all lining up really nice, which is always a benefit. There's nothing worse than getting something and then the install is a nightmare. So we've got this mounted loose, and that's starting to look pretty badass already. Obviously, once we tighten everything up and pull it together, it'll look much nicer, but it's starting to look pretty beefy. This thing's gonna look like a tank. The battle wagon's gonna be ready for some even bigger battles. So the next step is to install the rack itself, and Razorback Offroad actually shows you the tightening sequence in order to tighten the rack section. So you basically start in the top left-hand corner, tighten that first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. And I'm guessing that'll pull the rack together evenly. And then later on in the install, we'll go around and we'll tighten the rest of the hardware. So we'll grab 6 of our 3/4 inch hex bolts and 6 nylocks, and we'll go get that rack mounted up next. All right, so we'll position our rack now. It's cool, this rack actually has top and bottom mounting locations here. You got 2 mounting locations on the top of the rack, and then we've got 4 on the bottom. We'll start off with the top here. We'll position that guy, and we'll get one of our nuts on there. We'll go around and put all these on, and then we'll tighten them up in the sequence that they explain in the instruction manual. These holes are also slotted here to allow for some adjustment, which is nice. So I got my 6 bolts, and now I'm just going to finger tighten the nuts on there. And once we tighten this, it should pull everything together. This thing's looking pretty sweet. Just jiggling it into place there. Wow, this machine looks huge. Hopefully we don't roll it first ride. All right, so we put the 6 3/4 inch hex bolts through the rack just to put it in place. It's all still loose. Now we're gonna go around and tighten the upper mounts first, and then the 4 lowers. According to the manual, you wanna tighten the top mounts first. So the top driver's side, and then the top passenger side, then the lower driver's side, the lower passenger side, and the rear driver's side and rear passenger side, in that order. That should hopefully pull everything together. So we'll go around and we'll try that. I'm gonna see how, we'll put it together and we'll see how it all fits. So I'm just gonna kind of position it so that it's even on both sides, and then we'll go ahead and we'll tighten this side first like they suggest. So it's 10 mil for the hex head, and then an 11 mil nut, or the equivalent SAE. This part would probably be easier with 2 people if you have a hand. So it's easier if you have 2 people, one person holding the cage in a position to line everything up, and then we torque it down. Okay, that one's done. Now we'll go around to the other side. So we'll hold the other side the same way, torque her down. You ready? It should all hold together well now, and it looks like it's kind of hold everything else in line. So now we'll go around in the sequence they recommended. The next one is the driver's side lower front one there. And there's not really much adjustment here, I don't think. Oh, actually you can push them together. So I'm just gonna see what both sides do there. Yeah, okay. Just kind of visually try to get everything to line up kind of straight here. The slotting and everything looks really even on both sides, so I think it's in the right position. I'm gonna pull it over again. I'm gonna shift it over this way again. And then we're gonna tighten this guy. That's looking pretty even. I can't really shift this guy too much, but it looks like it's pretty much lined up in the same position here. I'm just trying to get the slots, like the slotted holes, to line up as evenly on both sides as I can. So my spacing on all the areas here on the slots looks pretty much on point. You can tell it's all holding it together a lot better now. Okay, so we got the cargo rack up there and it's looking pretty badass. I'm pretty stoked with it. It's really changed the look of the RZR a lot. All the bars look like they're lined up pretty good with the plastics. Now my machine is definitely tweaked a little bit. I've rolled this machine multiple times. It's being bounced off trees, stuff like that. So just keep that in mind. The fit might not be like absolutely perfect if your machine isn't new and it's being beaten on, but so far it's looking really good for me. And the reason they've got all these slotted holes there is probably to make sure that if your machine is a little tweaked, you have the adjustability that you need. Okay, if you're installing the Sherpa rack, which is just this section, then you're pretty much done now. Now you would go around and you would just tighten up all the rest of those brackets evenly to maintain the rack in like a centered position so that everything looks good. Since we're installing the full Expedition model rack, we're gonna install the tailgate section now, the flip out tailgate with the spare tire rack. So that'll be the next step. So I'm still not gonna tighten everything. I wanna get that tailgate on there in position, and then once that's on, we'll go around and we'll tighten everything. And then the last step will be to install the accessory mounts for the roto packs and for the spare tire mount. So here's the rack mounted up, or we're just kind of positioned. It looks pretty awesome. I actually think it all fits really good. The only question is whether or not the spare tire is gonna mount with this bumper setup, and we'll figure that out near the end. I think we can make it work. Okay, the next step is we're gonna mount the swing away tailgate. So we're going to get our tailgate brackets here, and they go into these hinges with these special hinge bolts. All right, so we're gonna get a washer, top and bottom of the hinge bracket here. I'm just gonna start off by putting my top in, then I can hold it. There we go. And then we'll slide the bottom washer in. There we go. Just kind of wiggle that in there. There's one with a nylock on the bottom. And we'll do the same thing with the other one. Slide it through, seat it. These hinge bolts are Allen heads. Razorback Offroad sends you an Allen key for them, and then we'll just tighten the nylocks. But like with everything else, I'm just gonna leave these loose for now. For the next step, we're gonna mount the tailgate onto the rack, and we're gonna use these 4 Allen heads. There's 4 holes in the rack here, and these are gonna go through there. And then the brackets that we just mounted onto the tailgate itself have slotted holes. So we'll just put these in. So I'm assuming the slotted holes are just there for adjustment so that we can get that tailgate to latch nicely when it's all set up. Here you'll actually notice there's this little nipple thing here. The tailgate actually has a pneumatic cylinder on it as well to help open and keep it open and close it and stuff like that. So it's really cool. There's a lot of attention to detail on this setup. Okay, this part's also like a 2-person job. I mean, you could put something under the other side and do it on your own, but if you have an extra set of hands, it'll make it a lot easier. I'm just gonna try and get 2 started and then finger tighten the nuts on so that it holds this tailgate in place. So these black brackets go underneath the slotted brackets go underneath the part of the rack here. We got our shop cat here helping out. What's up, Razor? We got Razor here. He's a little bandit, and then his brother Maverick. Needless to say, Razor's the wilder one. You know, he's got better performance. Okay, we got 4 in there. That should be enough to hold it. So you can see the bracket, the hinges there, just kind of mounted up, and then we'll get the rest of the hardware in there, and then we'll adjust it all. And then we also have to get the latch on this side. I was assuming this was like a 3rd bracket, but I'm guessing this is probably actually the latch bracket here. So we'll do that next. What the heck are you doing, dude? This is an expensive cat condo. I don't actually ride the Razor, I just got this rack for my cats. I gotta say that so far this install has been really easy. Thanks. The next step according to the instructions now is fitting this T-handle into this threaded section here. So we're just gonna thread this guy in there. This is the latch mechanism. Okay. Nice spring-loaded latch. Now we're gonna fit the bracket for the latch. We got 2 nuts and 2 bolts left in 1 bracket, so it's looking like we're doing things right. Let's open this guy. That's cool. We're gonna mount this. So I'm gonna leave it loose and I'll close it and we'll line it all up. So I don't have the rack together yet, so this is just a little alignment issue here. So what I'm actually gonna do is, I'm gonna go around and I'm gonna tighten the rack up. But right now, I'm gonna take this off. You can see here, this basically, it's a cool design. When the tailgate hits, these just kind of make it ride in here, and then it engages the latch. So, I'll just see if I can get this to fit up. Before we put the final piece on for the latch there, what we'll do is we'll go around now and we'll tighten up the 3 main cage brackets or the rack brackets to get everything lined up and even so that it's not all flimsy anymore. And then we'll go around, we'll adjust the slotted mounts here based on how the tailgate needs to line up with the kind of the latch. I'm gonna tighten these brackets here and up here first. These aren't slotted, they don't have any adjustment. So I know I can tighten these up. And then once these are snug, I'll go around and I'll do the tops and the sides and stuff like that. These are a little tight to get to, so I don't want to round the nuts or anything. So I'll just hand torque them down. Don't overdo it, you don't want to break these. They're not big fasteners. I've gone around and I've looked at both sides and they're both even. The spacing and the gapping everywhere looks even. So the rack has kind of positioned itself where it wants to be. So now I can tighten up these side mounts here. These are grade 10.9. These are really strong fasteners and they need to be because they're also securing the roll cage. I'm just looking at the top brackets there, making sure they're all in the same position. They look like they've kind of positioned themselves where they want to be as well. So I'm just gonna slam those puppies on there. Okay, so we'll just tighten up these top guys. Now we'll tighten these guys. Okay, that guy's lined up nice and even. Do the other side here. Now I can tighten these bottom cage bolts. What we're noticing here is we're not completely lining up with the latch, and it could be a factor of things. We loosened these bolts a little bit on the rear cage, and we loosened the sides, and it gave us a touch of movement, but it got a little better, but not good enough. So I'm thinking that what needs to be done now is I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna loosen all 6 of those top rack bolts. I think it's pulling the cage together. This and this need to go out so that we can engage the latch properly. So I'm feeling if we can loosen these 6 bolts now, then we can go out. If you're watching this video before you do the install, which is a good idea, don't tighten those when I tighten them, because you're gonna run into this issue. With that being said, also, like I mentioned, my cage is definitely tweaked a little bit, so it might be pulling things off to one side or something like that. So let's go ahead and loosen those and see what happens. So I'm just going around and loosening the main 6 brackets so I can get a bit more play before I loosen the rack. Like with any install, whether it's a bumper install or skid plates or something like this, when there's all these intricate parts, just get prepared for some fine tuning near the end. It's not always as easy as just a bolt on. Sometimes you might get it your first shot and luck out. Sometimes it's gonna take a few to try and get it perfect. All right, so we've gone around and we've loosened all 6 of the bolts holding the rack on, and we've also loosened all 6 of the main big fasteners, the 15 mils, on the top and on the sides. So we got a bit of movement in the rack now. Should be enough to close it. It's latched in place, that's good. So now that we're latched in place, we can go around again and tighten everything up. Actually, what I'm gonna do is, I should adjust this latch actually. So I'll go around and I'll tighten these first, and we'll snug those up, see if it opens and closes fine. If everything stays true once we tighten those up, then we'll go ahead and we'll tighten up all the other bolts as well again. We got some movement here and it latches nicely. It's still not bolted together, so I'm gonna kind of pull it this way, tighten these brackets down here to hold it there. Then I'm gonna pull this way and do the same thing. I think I'm actually gonna open this though when I do it. I've adjusted the slotted holes all the way out. I'm thinking I might be able to put them in a bit and still be able to latch it. So I'm gonna loosen them and try that first. That way if I tweak the cage or something happens, I have some adjustability there. So I'm just gonna see how much I can pull it out here and still have it latch. Wow, that's pretty good actually. So I've managed to actually move my slotted holes quite a bit over this way. So I'll tighten it up now, like that, and see if we can get it all to line up this way. Giving me more adjustability in the future if I like lay it over or something like that on the trail. Yeah, that looks good. So we'll go and we'll tighten this side first. Okay, I'm pulling it that way, I'm gonna tighten these. And I've already tightened these all the way down. So now we got movement there.
But I think when you tighten it up, it's gonna squeeze her in. That's why maybe
that's fine. We'll still have the adjustability here later to push it out. So let's see. So let's tighten these ones next. We're gonna pull out on this and tighten it. Can you pull? You got it? We'll loosen it, but we'll be able to pull it back in the bracket, the slotted bracket. So we'll do the same thing here. You want to pull again? We still got some oh, it's moving here now.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we can pull that out and tighten this one. It's gonna work. I know that the manual recommends that tightening sequence of starting from the top left and then working your way through. But I think in this case, since we're fine tuning, I'm gonna tighten this one first because I can see that's where my movement is. I'm gonna get you to pull here. Okay, are you pulling? Okay. Yeah, that worked. That's pretty good. And now let's do the same thing here. Ready? Oh, it's pulled it together really good. It's engaged well. I'm gonna tighten up the hinges now because I haven't tightened those yet. I'm not gonna go too crazy on the hinges. These are nylocks, so they're not really gonna back off. Yeah, and it's still holding together nicely. So I'll go around and I'll tighten the last 4 tops, and then we'll tighten the rest of the other 2 top brackets, the main ones, off the cage. Last ones we gotta tighten are these guys up here. Lined up nice and tight. Let's see how she, with the hinges tightened up, it's a lot better. Works good. I mean, you're not gonna slam it. It's not a slam latch, no. Right? But pretty good actually. Like it's in there nice. It's fully engaged. Yeah. So I'd say the main install went really well. It was really straightforward, well thought out. It came together nicely. The hardware was all provided, and I'd say it's like a 2 or 3 out of 10, more or less a 2 out of 10. You need an extra set of hands in 1 or 2 spots to make it easier, but you can easily get away doing it on your own. The most difficult stage was definitely just the fine tuning and getting everything to line up at the end, like often is on like an exhaust or a bumper setup. But I'd say it's pretty sweet, and I mean, it looks awesome. Now that it's all together and everything's lined up, the last piece is to put the pneumatic cylinder on. And it just clicks into these 2 here. Lock that in place. You just pull this little clippy thing out here. This is what locks it into place. It slides out, pop it in, there we go, and then pop her back in there. There we go. Oh, that's fancy. Yeah. That's cool. Actually, that makes a really big difference.
Nice.
Cool. Classy.
Yeah, that does make a big difference.
All right, last step, we're gonna mount that spare tire holder quickly. You see they have this universal mounting setup here. There's 3 locations on the rack where you can utilize these mounts. And I mean, obviously you can mount a ton of stuff to the rack because it's just tube, right? So you can just get tube mounts and mount all your accessories. So here is the section that the tire bolts to. And here we have the part that mounts to the rack itself. Like the other stuff, they send you some nice high quality grade 8 hardware as well as some lug nuts, which is nice. So you got everything you need to mount your spare. Just like with the rear rack setup, the Expedition rack, all the instructions that you need are located on their website in PDF format in really good detail. The install instructions for the Expedition rack were excellent with pictures and descriptions and everything. We're gonna grab 4 of our hex bolts that come with it. Now we just slide this over. There's 2 holes on the top, 1 on each side to secure it, and it's slotted here. So I'm gonna mount it as far out as I can because I know clearance is probably gonna be an issue for me. The only thing to really remember with these spare tire mounts is the fact that it could affect your departure angles if you're dropping down a super steep ledge. So just remember, if that tire's there, if you do smack it, you might break the mount or bend it or something like that. With that out all the way, it's just these two bolts securing it there. Now we just take our lug nuts. There's slotted square sections in the back to hold them. You pop them in here. It's universal, so you can adjust it. These rubber pieces on there. I think these rubbers basically act to just hold that bolt in there from falling out. That way you won't lose it, and it won't fall out when you're putting your spare tire on. We'll see if one of these 31-inch Brave and Berserkers fits on there. So I got 15s on it right now with 32s. This is the closest tire size I have. So in a bind, it would do. With the studs in, now we can just put our lug nuts on, and then we'll center the wheel. I'm running the Super ATV bumper here and the full like exo cage, and it, you know what, it fits fine. When I torque it down, it's gonna snug the tire up against the bumper so it won't vibrate or rattle or anything. So I'm pretty stoked about that. It looks good, it fits good, everything went well. I'm super stoked with this install. Big shout out to Razorback Offroad. Thanks for hooking me up. Thanks to UTV Canada. UTV Canada is the Razorback Offroad distributor for all of Canada. So if you want a Razorback Offroad rack for your machine, make sure you head on over to UTV Canada and order one up. They offer racks for a ton of different machines, from utility to sport. Polaris, Can-Am, even CF Moto, stuff like that. They offer a lot of accessories for these racks, and various accessories like gun holders, cup holders, rotopack holders, spare tire holders, a whack of other stuff, tool holders. So go check them out. They've got a wicked site online and a good online catalog, and you'll be able to find everything you need on their website. Aside from the spare tire mount, we also have the rotopack mount. That mounts the same way. On each side, you have one of these mounts. I'm actually wondering if I can mount two brackets on the inside. So I don't know if I can actually get away with, let's see how this works with the spare tire on it. Not bad. Yeah. So I'm wondering if I can actually mount another bracket in there. So I'm gonna mess around with this setup, because I'd love to do that and then be able to mount my rotopack in there if it fits. But the accessory brackets, whether it's the rotopack or the spare tire, they all mount the same way with just the 4 fasteners here, and the instructions are all available online. So you can check that out based on the accessories you choose to outfit your rack with. So with the rack all bolted down, lined up, everything's on and installed, everything's torqued up. The last step, like I mentioned, was mounting the spare tire. The spare tire is mounted, it's on there good. And now I also, originally I was thinking of, on the pictures you often see that the rotopacks are mounted on the side mounts here. I was a little concerned having a gas can or something on the side here, because when I rub up against a tree or something, the gas can was actually sticking out a little bit more than the exo cage. So I just know I'm gonna rip that off or break it. So I found a really cool location here. I actually managed to mount the rotopack on the back of the spare tire mount, and everything worked well. It's really cool. I think this is a good place for it. It still closes. It even clears the stock mounting location for the whip lights. So I mounted some whips. Oh yeah, got the whip lights finally. A little bit of Honda accents there. So yeah, we got the whip lights on, and they cleared the rotopack, and everything works really well here. If you look in here, I also mounted my Super ATV cargo box. So I got that in the back there, and it's really cool because it clears the rack perfectly. It's almost like it was made to work in here. So I got a bunch of my like important gear, a spare belt, stuff like that in there. We'll go over that in another video. So that fits in there. I still got a bunch of storage space here in front. We got a bunch of storage space on top here, and then we got the whole top rack, as well as anything we want to mount in between or to the sides, and it's not going to bounce out. So pretty stoked about the Rotopack fitting here. So I'll show you how I did this. This isn't how they show you to do it in the instructions, but I looked at it and right away I knew like I thought it would work well there. So what I've done here is, if you can see, all I did is I removed the OEM hardware, the bolts that they sent me with the spare tire holder, because they were a little too short to go through both brackets. And I just used longer bolts, and I mounted the spare tire bracket on this side, and then I mounted the Rotopack bracket on this side, and it all goes together really well. I mean, the Rotopack's not heavy or anything, so it's not going to stress out this mount running two things, and it fits really nice there. It's easy to get to, easy on and off. And another cool thing, actually, I'll show you in a second once I put this back on. Another cool thing that I noticed after I mounted it is the Rotopack also acts as a handle to open and close that tailgate, which is pretty cool. So yeah, if you're looking for a place to mount this, then I think this is one of the better locations. And I mean, it looks really neat, and I mean, that would have really been dead space. I mean, depending on what you're using the back for, if you have a bigger container, maybe this won't fit, but for my application, I think it looks cool and it functions well. Everything closes well, latches up. The latch here, everything is tight. The spare tire's on there tight. I'm gonna keep this on here for longer rides where I need a spare. You could mount it up there, but you want to keep this tire as low as you can, because this is 70 to 90 pounds of weight depending on the tire and rim choice you're running. So you don't really want that way up there, but worst case scenario, you could put it up there. And I actually think if you had a slightly smaller wheel, like a 30, then you could probably even fit it inside the underneath the rack here if you needed to. So for like trail riding at home, more technical stuff, tighter stuff where I don't need a spare, then I'm probably just not gonna run the spare tire, and then you can just keep something else on the back, or leave the mount on empty, or take it off, slap another Rotopack on there, who knows. But I don't think I'll usually have the spare tire for the more technical riding. I'm gonna mount the fire extinguisher in here somewhere, because everyone knows Razors need a fire extinguisher. Enough about that. We're gonna take this thing out, and we're gonna take a look at it on the trail. We'll get some more shots of it, and we'll show you how it looks. And I'll be posting pictures of this thing on Facebook, Instagram, so follow us on there. Also follow us on TikTok, hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already, and check out some of the other content. You'll see this rack in use in upcoming videos. I'm really stoked because up here I'll be able to mount a bunch of my camera gear in the hard cases, and it'll be just like so easy to get to. I'll be able to get to it, get in and out of there, no problem. And I've really opened up a lot of potential for storage.